Filth is adapted from the Irvine Welsh novel of the same name. Set in Edinburgh, the controversial and dark film sees James McAvoy play the lead role of corrupt policeman Bruce Robertson, whose life spirals dramatically out of control. Some said the book was unfilmable, but after 15 years in development, it's finally made it to the big screen. Well, the star of the film, James McAvoy, and Irvine Welsh joined us earlier in the Scotland Tonight studio. James, it's a visceral film, and you've suggested that people might walk out. Is that a real possibility, do you think?
I've seen people walk out of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, so I think, yeah, definitely, it could happen. What I've really responded to is the fact that I feel like when I'm with an audience, I've seen certain members of the audience kind of go, oh my God, and get really shocked by what they're seeing, as well as laughing and crying at what they're seeing, but sometimes being compelled, almost compelled to leave, but they can't quite leave. And it's what we want to do. We want to, you know, entertain, and we wanted to make people laugh. We wanted to make people cry, but we also wanted to make people feel uncomfortable at times as well. And as a piece of entertainment, it is still a challenging piece of entertainment. And so, yes, some people, but by and large, we've not had anybody walk out so far. But that's good.
It is a dark, dark character, though.
Dark, shocking, funny. Harrowing, surprising. He's a lot of things. There's a scene in the film where I probably shouldn't even tell you about it because it's just too much. But yeah, he's all these things in a moment at times, and that's why I've got really excited about playing him and helping to bring Irvine's unique, incredible work to film. And
Irvine, are you pleased with the result?
I'm absolutely delighted. I mean, it kind of couldn't have gone better, and I've kind of been trying for 15 years to get the film made, and it's only in the last that we've really kind of made headway.
We'll touch on the Scottish film industry in a moment, but it's, as James is saying, a very dark film. You say you like it when people are failing. Yeah,
I mean, I'm obsessed with failure, and I think that failure is really interesting because success only comes in one kind of form. You're successful and you think this is great fun, but it doesn't really teach you anything. But failure comes in all different types of forms, so you learn so much from failure. And as a writer, to me, it's like kind of I'm fascinated by the way that when things are going against us, we kind of make the wrong decisions to compound that, or we inevitably make the wrong decisions to compound that. And we just sometimes feel compelled to keep acting when it's just, it's just time to stop maybe and let things kind of take their course. And I mean, Bruce digs a big hole for himself. I mean, he takes himself down. Nobody else does. It's like it's a classic Greek tragedy where the guy falls on his own sword.
And James, he does fail spectacularly. What does that? Yeah. And your performance is very, very powerful. What does that do to you as an actor, going down, descending like that?
Strangely, playing this part as mental as he is, and as high as a kite one minute and as low and dirty as he is the next, I probably took less baggage home with me at the end of the night on this job than any other job I've done. I usually go home with a lot more tension. I'm not a method actor. I don't go home with the character or anything like that. I'm never like staying as the guy. Yeah, for some reason playing him, he lets it all out. Everything comes out. He's trying desperately to hide things. That's why he's got this kind of, funny and charismatic sort of facade, which is all powerful and swaggery and kind of, belittling everybody else around him. But underneath, he's falling apart at every moment, and that can't help but come out. And because it comes out a lot, yeah, it weirdly didn't take too much on me. I did drink a bit too much while I was making the film. And that was in the aid of trying to make me look just a wee bit rougher. And so I drank way too much whiskey.
Which worked, I have to say.
Yeah, I was having half a bottle of whiskey a night, which was which is not advisable.
Were there any, that was at night, were there any days that you dreaded getting into film?
Were there any days when I got a baby? I've never drank on the job.
But were there any days you dreaded getting in? Like, I don't want to film this.
No, actually, there was very little. There was one scene, and I wasn't dreading it before we did it, and then I just kind of felt way wrong doing it. Because most of it I really like, what I mean. I'm fed up of wishy-washy, hedging your bets cinema at the moment. Some of that's great, but everything seems to be very, let's not offend anybody. Let's not be about too strong a working class story or too posh a story or too, let's not get too in depth with anything because you might alienate somebody by going too in depth. And ultimately, you know, I get this script that is bold and it is brave and it is potentially controversial and it is really funny, and when it's funny, it's really funny, and when it's really scary, and it's extreme, and it happens to be born in my country. I'm so proud of that.
Do you think people will see you differently because of it?
Well, they'll see me differently in this film, certainly. I don't really mind what people think of me personally. So I don't know, but hopefully, and by and large, so far, people have accepted me in the role, because it is a very different role for me. I'm not, like, to look at me now, I'm not the obvious kind of casting for this guy, but hopefully you'll be able to kind of believe I am that guy when you watch the film. Most people have.
Irving, you touched on how difficult it was to get the film made, and there's a whole list of funders for the film. How did it eventually come about?
Well, as James says, the game changer was the script. I mean, you can have as, you know, a book that's kind of does well and is really sort of great, but unless you've got a script, you know, it's not going to operate. I mean, that's why you can say in advance, like, you know, the 50 Shades of Grey thing will be a terrible film, because, you know, it's coming from, you know, it's coming from a place where, you know, you have these big book sales, you know, and so you want to realise that, audience, and it's very market driven. So, but so what you want is you want to get a kind of a really strong sort of screenplay that kind of that, you know, that excites the actors, that excites financiers, you know, that gets people thinking, wow, this can be really great in the right hands. And that was a game changer. That was the first kind of game changer, was that John went away and produced that script. And the next game changer was kind of getting James involved, you know, when we met you, and we were, you know, we kind of, obviously, because James looks kind of, he doesn't look like a 40-year-old haggard kind of alcoholic divorcee. Although maybe after the movie you did, like, you know. But,
after last night.
After last night you probably did as well. Like,
so you had clearly a Scottish talent, a Scottish director, and a lot of a Scottish supporting cast. But a lot of this film had to be filmed elsewhere. It comes back to this question we hear quite a lot now, about the need for a Scottish film studio.
Well, it would be great. I mean, if you could just build, and, you know, if you could just set up all the interiors, kind of, you know, build a set, and, you know, you had a big soundstage, and that would just be fantastic. You know?
Has that been a demand you're aware of, James?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, partly we had to get finance from all over, you know, different countries as well, because this is a potentially, you know, it's an out-there film, so that was part of it. But yeah, we don't have a proper studio in Scotland, and that is a real shame. Not just a shame because of job creation and all that, but because culturally we don't have the facility to tell stories about ourselves on a regular, frequent and prolific basis, which we need. You know, it's important for our own cultural confidence, I think, and identity, and it would be really useful. It's not even something, you know, you talk about it in business and is it economically feasible? Well, we make money back and all that kind of stuff. It's got to be subsidised even then if it's not, because it's a service. You know, it's not just an industry. It's a service industry as well, and we serve the ego and the collective identity of the culture you represent.
Yeah,
and we just don't have
the intangibles of it can't be measured, but they're immense. You know, they're immense.
Huge
to a country
for your self-confidence as a nation.
Yep. I know, well, all of this, of course, is against the backdrop of the independence referendum. Irvin, is that something you think would make a great story, make a good book?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's that kind of thing. I mean, I think that the big thing about, you know, I'm, you know, living in America, so I'm coming to it from an outsider and kind of looking in to an extent. But the main thing to me is that the great story is the number of people who are kind of undecided, you know, and they kind of feel, you know, it seems to me from talking to people that they feel that kind of, you know, 30 years of a kind of neoliberal British state isn't meeting kind of Scottish social democratic aspirations, and it kind of can't be reformed, this kind of post-imperial British state, to make it happen that way. And it seems to be in a secular kind of decline. Against that, I think there's a tremendous great kind of sort of warmth and feeling for a kind of, you know, for a kind of a sort of unity, a kind of British unity, that people have been through so much together in terms of wars and shared experiences and all that. So I think that it's that group of undecided people that are, you know, they're going to be the key to working out which way kind of Scotland swings.
And James, have you any position on it?
Listen, I'm a professionally trained liar, an actor. I'm trained to pretend and lie. So why politicians, who are also very good at that, keep looking for actors to back them up? I think it's absolutely ridiculous. We're the most. If I had an actor telling me vote this way or vote that way, I'd vote the other way. So no, I think actors stay out of it. It's a funny one though, isn't it? It's like in the 70s we were. It felt like. Not that I was there. Well, I was there in the 70s, but I was very young. But it feels like it was much more born out of national sort of necessity. Whereas I feel the reason why so many people are more undecided this time is because it feels like it's born out of a political campaign that's sort of been delivered to us. Now we've like, oh right, I'm undecided because I haven't been thinking about it actually. I know a lot of people have, but I feel like the vast majority of people weren't. It wasn't really on their agenda, you know. And you know, so it's a different thing from the last time.
I mean, one of the things that's kind of really it's been quite interesting for me, because I think one of the things that the evolution of the kind of independence debate it's become so much more positive now that it's attracting more people. Because when I was, like in the 70s, when I was young, it was like kind of, it was always like, oh, the English have messed us up, it's the English's fault and all that, you know. And then it was like kind of the kind of self-loathing thing. It's our fault, you know, we've brought on ourselves, we don't sort of take, control, and we just let them do whatever we do what they want. It's like that. It's a kind of train spotting thing, you know, the kind of, that kind of, I don't hate the English, I hate the Scots type of thing. Neither of which are really positive, and now it's this kind of more kind of can-do kind of attitude. Let's kind of let's sort this out. Basically, it doesn't matter whose fault it is or whose fault it was. Let's do something and sort it out. And I think that kind of message is a much more positive and empowering message for people. And I think that's why the kind of the sort of the pro-independence debate is kind of become a lot more interesting to people like me who would never really call themselves nationalists of any shape or form.
James McAvoy, Irvine Welsh, thanks very much indeed
Thank
for
you.
joining us in Scotland tonight.